Blessed is the one who does not walk in step with the wicked, or stand in the way that sinners take, or sit in the company of mockers, but whose delight is in the law of the Lord, and who meditates on his law day and night. That person is like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in season, and whose leaf does not wither. Whatever they do prospers. A reflection called Rooted in God. These last couple of months, St Paul's Cathedral in London has commissioned some special reflections. In June, they were given by Brian Draper, a speaker, retreat guide and labyrinth curator. This month, in July, they are given by Dr. Ruth Valerio, Director of Global Advocacy and Influencing at Tearfund. The reflections draw on her book Saying Yes to Life, the Archbishop of Canterbury's Lent book for this year, which explores the creation narrative of Genesis 1. Writing about trees, she says, "Loving trees isn't separate to my faith. It's an integral part of what it means to worship the Creator. And as I seek to live in ways that take care of trees, so too I want to be like the tree of Psalm 1, planted by streams of water, rooted deeply in God through the rhythms and practices of my life." The questions that jump to my mind are, what does it mean to live like a tree firmly planted by a stream of water? What are the rhythms and practices in my own life? How do I stay rooted in God? Today's reflection focuses on Psalm 1 and the tree planted by streams of water. Naturally, trees have appeared in quite a few of the Wild Church reflections, including the recent prayer trail and Earth Day reflection from April. Trees are amazing. They are home to lots of animals and insects. Birds nest in the tree branches or holes, bats live in the crevices of fissured bark, and rabbits, foxes and badgers burrow down within the root system. Trees give shade to passers-by or livestock. Last week, myself and Ali were enjoying a staycation and enjoyed walking various trails. At times, we really appreciated the shade of a lofty bough. So what does it mean to live like a tree firmly planted by a stream of water? The answer comes in the verse before. It means to meditate on God's law day and night. This is God's word to us, what God has to say to us about who He is, how He wants us to live, and what His plans and intentions are for us. How easy do you find that? For me, I find it a challenge. Perhaps work demands more and more. Our families need more attention. The digital age is faster and increasingly constant, and even more so since lockdown. It is challenging to slow down and meditate and think through our daily habits, relationships, opportunities, where we spend our time, perhaps what we think of ourselves, perhaps where we fall short. But there is a place where I find it easier to be with God and take the time to do this. Out in the landscape, under the trees. One of my favourite writers, John O'Donoghue, speaks of this praying with landscapes in his book, Walking in Wonder, Eternal Wisdom for a Modern World. In the full chapter, he specifically mentions mountains, water and trees as elements of the landscape that draw him to the presence of God. These three elements have contributed much to my own experience of God. One of the lovely ways to pray is to take your body out into a landscape and be still in it. Your body is made out of clay, so your body is actually a miniature landscape that has got up from under the earth and is now walking on the normal landscape. If you go out for several hours into a place that is wild, your mind begins to slow down, down. What is happening is that the clay of your body is retrieving its own sense of sisterhood with the great clay of the landscape. I also think that trees are incredible presences. There is incredible symmetry in a tree. between its inner life and its outer life, between its rooted memory and its external active presence. A tree goes up and down at once and produces enough branches to incarnate wild divinity. It doesn't limit itself. It reaches for the sky and it reaches for the source, all in one seamless kind of movement. So I think landscape is an incredible mystical teacher, and when you begin to tune into its sacred presence, something shifts inside you. God can be discovered all around us, in all the different parts of the landscape of life. Making time to be with God and meditate on God's word and spend time speaking to God and listening in prayer helps us to develop deep roots. We can become like the tree planted by streams of water. When challenging times come, we can still thrive as we are connected to the source. In today's activity, which has been filmed, I invite you to take some time to sit and reflect. You will need an image of a tree, or you will be encouraged to draw your own, so grab a pencil and something to draw on. Using the image of a tree as our focus and the verses of Psalm 1, I invite us to reflect on what is good in our lives. What do we rely on? What is important to us? And where are we making time to be rooted in God? You can either watch the video to be guided through the activity or download the sheet and complete in your own time. Share your reflection with a trusted friend and encourage one another to root yourselves in God. Perhaps the next time you see a tree, stop, be with it, and listen. Welcome to the Tree of Life Wellbeing activity. Sometimes it's useful to stop for a while and think about what is good in our lives and what we can always rely on. Why not take some time out and have a go at the activity as we use trees as a way to think about our lives? What you need to do is start by drawing a tree. Get a piece of paper and be as imaginative as you like. It can be a made-up tree and as big as you want. You could even choose to go and sit in a meadow like we are and focus on a tree in front of you and practice drawing that. I'm going to take you through step by step from the bottom of the tree to the top, and there'll be different reflective activities to do as we go. You can do this on your own, as a family, or with friends. Take time afterwards to share what you've noted on your tree and listen to what others have written. You may like to sit under your favourite tree or near a window while you reflect and take part. We are going to start at the roots. So the first thing to do is to draw your tree. It will need roots, the ground, a trunk, some branches and leaves. Eventually we'll be focusing on the buds and the seeds. So we're going to begin at the roots. Roots provide the tree with an anchor to the ground and help it to stand up strong and tall. Think about your roots and where you come from. Write your thoughts amongst the roots of your tree. You can include things like your parents, your hometown, your favourite place, or perhaps a special item. After the roots, we head up the tree towards the ground. On the ground around the tree, sketch some pictures or symbols to represent the things you choose to do on a regular basis. This may include your hobbies, such as reading or playing sport. If you don't like drawing, find a picture in an old magazine or newspaper, cut it out and stick it onto your tree. You can take as long as you need for this activity. So after the roots and the ground, we come up to the trunk. The trunks of trees can be described as strong and supportive. How would you describe yourself? Maybe you are patient, caring, kind, generous, funny, hardworking, or loving. Choose 3 words to describe yourself and write these on the trunk. If you prefer, you could draw a picture or symbol to represent the words. For example, if you are kind, you might draw yourself giving someone a hug. What 3 words would you use to describe yourself? If you're struggling and you're sat with someone else, maybe ask them to describe you. What 3 words might they use to describe you? Ali, you're adventurous. You're organised. And you're caring. We now head up onto the branches of the tree. I don't know if you can see from this video, but some of the pictures that I'll share as well, you can see that branches grow and they spread outwards. And this could be like our hopes and dreams. Along the branches, write down your hopes, dreams and wishes. These can be special to you, or perhaps you might want to think about the people around you. You could also try making a sound recording on a mobile device for your top 3 dreams and wishes, or interview one of your family or friends asking them for theirs. I wonder if you come up with the same ones. So this activity is about being individual and focusing on yourself, but perhaps if you wanted to do it again, you could look at the church. What are the hopes and dreams as we emerge from lockdown for your church and your church family? Or perhaps you could look at your community. What are the hopes and dreams that you have for your community? And what's attached to the branches? Well, we have the leaves next, and they play an important part on trees. They capture sunlight and help to turn it into energy and food for the tree to grow. Many of our friends, family, teachers, pets, and even favourite teddy bears play an important part in our lives and make us feel warm and safe. Draw some leaves and write in the middle of them the names of those who are important to you. You can draw different shaped leaves to represent the name. Why not write a postcard or call someone to let them know they are great, or that you enjoy their company and are looking forward to seeing them again soon? Share a story of a time you had together. And if you're not comfortable coming to sit out in a meadow, you could maybe do this reflective activity on the move. So you could go and find a tree and look for the roots. You could collect some dirt for the ground. You could collect some bark that's fallen off a tree for the trunk, a stick for the branches, different types of leaves for the leaves, and so on. And you could do this as a walking meditation. So draw some leaves and write in the middle of them the names of those who are important to you. Next, we have the buds. In the spring, the buds of trees start to open and grow into new shoots, leaves or flowers. Take some time to reflect over the last few weeks and list all the things you have enjoyed doing. Have you started any new hobbies? Experienced something new for the first time, or developed some new skills? Ask a friend or family member to do the same for you. Then compare and see if you came up with the same things. So during lockdown, what have you been enjoyed doing with your time? Perhaps it has been an opportunity to revive some past hobbies, some things that you used to enjoy doing and that you haven't usually got the time for. List those down on your buds. And lastly, we have the seeds. Trees produce seeds to start the life of a new tree. We all have the ability to keep growing and developing and help those around us. Can you think of 2 things you would like to develop or do over the next few weeks for yourself? Why not do some research and ask your friends and families for their top 3? Perhaps you could arrange to do them together. If you've done this activity with a family member or a friend, maybe you would like to take the time to share what you have both written. Maybe you could go on a walk and talk about it, or share it with someone in your church. We hope you've enjoyed this activity.